Good afternoon. I thank SIO 2015 Conference Organization for giving us the opportunity to present a study focused on feasibility and measurements of the potential benefits of Tibetan Singing Bowls of metastatic cancer patients. None of the authors had conflicts of interest, and the study was conducted with no financial support. All activities were offered on a voluntary basis in favor of AMOC for oncologic patients. The participation of sound therapists, AMOC volunteers, at this conference has been facilitated by AMOC thanks to donations by Pharmaextracta, Guna, and RK. Since ancient times, sound has been used to accompany meditation, religious rituals, and social ceremonies in which sound was used to align minds, moods, spirits, and souls, and to create a pervasive coherence and of the whole community during solemn festivities. Sound massage is a term that emphasizes the perception of the sound by the whole organism. Sound therapy differs from music therapy by definition. Music therapy uses music, an artificial product made up of sounds, consisting of harmony, melody, and rhythm, while sound therapy uses sound as a physical phenomenon. The resonance of vibrations with the body dictates the optimal modality of sound treatment. Resonance is a phenomenon in which an oscillating system absorbs energy from an external source with a particular efficiency only at one specific frequency. A few years ago, a team of biologists amplified and studied sound waves produced by cells. Sound of the cells seem to be related to cell metabolism and to specific gene expressions. Distinct vibrations seem to be the result of specific DNA assembling, and they can join cell surface via the cytoskeleton. A fascinating rising field of research is based on the idea that external vibrations applied to cells could play a role in the modulation of DNA expression and cell activity. We can use the term bioresonance to indicate the effects of sound on the human body, and it arises at two levels. From the first experiences in the oncologic setting, we noticed that patients, after a session of Tibetan Singing Bowls, experienced a profound relaxation, a reduction in anxiety, and a state of well-being expressed in various metaphors and analogies. For example, some of our patients said, "I felt the sound of the singing bowls in my body joining and melting together, and I sensed a breeze that wiped out anxiety and pain." Or, "I could talk with myself again." Or, "I had the perception of my body, and this helped me not to be afraid." Or, "I felt that I could again trust my self-defense ability." As a result, patients regain awareness of their body, a higher mood, and a good disposition towards the future. According to patient statements, subjective well-being lasts up to 3 days after treatment. This is a pilot study evaluating feasibility, methodology, and effect size prior to performing a full-scale research project. The primary endpoint is feasibility in terms of recruitment, attendance, and compliance, and the secondary endpoint is the amelioration in subjective and objective parameters. 12 metastatic cancer patients were included in the study. Each patient underwent 6 individual sessions of a 1-hour treatment with Tibetan Bowls over 3 months. The main inclusion criteria were metastatic cancer and performance status 0, 1, and 2. And we excluded patients with psychiatric disorders and/or problems in reaching the hospital. According to the method of sound therapy called metodo bagno armonico, Tibetan singing bells are placed on specific points of the body. Here we show the spectrum of the sound produced by percussion and by rubbing. We decided to use percussion for the richness and complexity of the sound obtained due to the presence of 6 to 8 levels of harmonics, stable and audible, inducing a state of deep relaxation and a reduction in stress signals. And this favors a harmonization of the body-mind, producing a sense of well-being. Subjective measurements before the first and the last session were quality of life, anxiety, depression, distress, and fatigue. And objective measurements collected before and after each session were skin conductance, electroencephalogram, and electrocardiogram derived parameters. This slide shows the instrumentation and the statistical analysis. We hypothesized that the sound of the Tibetan Singing Bowls could lower anxiety, induce a better adjustment to stress, and an appropriate mental state to manage thoughts. And we realized that these are typical aspects of expert meditators, and we expected patterns similar to those of the meditators in skin conductance level, in brain activity recorded by electroencephalogram, heart rate variability. So we measured these parameters also used in biofeedback to verify changes in the receivers after exposure to the singing bells. Among known manifestations of stress are changes in skin conductance and heart rate variability. Skin conductance, tonic skin conductance, reflects the basal level of arousal. It is decreased in conditions of relaxation. Phasic skin conductance level can be attributed to the involuntary mental activity, always produced by the frontal lobes of the brain. It increases in anxiety, and we expected that both of them would decrease after singing bowls. We show some examples of changes in SCL of some of our patients. In the first case, both tonic and phasic SCL decrease. In the second plot, tonic SCL is reduced after treatment with Tibetan Bowls, and a bigger reduction is seen for phasic SCL. And in the third example, we notice that there is a relevant decrease in the tonic SCL, but not in the phasic. HRV is a window to understand stress. We consider the heart rate variability as an index to of the ability of the body as a system to balance sympathetic and parasympathetic systems to better adjust to environmental variations. A higher value of HRV indicates a higher adaptability, and we expected that this parameter would increase after Tibetan Singing Bowls. Here we have an example of an HRV plot before and after a session. In the literature, HRV is considered as an index of the flexibility of the autonomic control. The brain and the heart are connected in a sort of vertical integration that serve to guide behaviors and peripheral physiology. The brain's spontaneous electrical activity and EEG pattern has been shown to correlate with years of meditation practice. It has been shown that the variation in EEG waves correlates with the state of mindfulness, processing of information, old age, psychiatric disorders, and mental exhaustion. We expected that EEG pattern after Tibetan Singing Bowls would show an increase in alpha, theta, and coherence, and a decrease in beta waves. Results: 50% of the patients were males, and ECOG performance status 1 was prevalent. Breast and lung cancers were the most represented. Metastatic sites were mostly both. 75% of the patients had skeletal metastasis. And these conditioned positions and duration of the sessions in a quarter of the patients. Feasibility enrollment was fast and attendance was good, indicating a high grade of acceptance and appreciation of the study. About 80% of the patients attended more than 4 sessions. Overall attendance was 83% of the scheduled sessions. 60 out of the expected 72 sessions were attended. Compliance with questionnaires was 83%. That means that 10 patients were evaluable for subjective benefits. Compliance with objective measurements was 98%. This slide shows the results in the subjective aspects. In these plots, each patient is indicated with a different color. It is clear that patients have the same behavior only in the distress thermometer graphic. If a statistical analysis is done in all the scores of the 10 evaluable patients, the only significant difference appears in the distress thermometer that, as expected, significantly decreases. Efficacy results in objective measurements for skin conductance level graphics show a statistical decrease as expected in both tonic and phasic conductance. For HRV, there is a significant increase, as expected. Also, heart rate, breath rate, oxygenation show a significant amelioration, and this proves that instruments detect relaxation of the patients. Here I show you again the expected patterns of EEG waves and of coherence. We used only frontal derivations because only very expert meditators are able to produce changes in other derivations, such as temporal or occipital. So we considered anterior frontal, AF3, AF4, and cingulate areas, F7, F8. And pulling together all frontal derivations, statistical analysis doesn't show differences, while in the separate analysis of the anterior frontal derivation, a significant change appears, and this doesn't happen in F7, F8, not shown here. The changes are a decrease in beta, as expected, an increase in coherence, as expected, and a significant decrease, not expected decrease, in alpha waves. In conclusion, our pilot study demonstrates that it is feasible. Attention should be paid to patients whose state could rapidly worsen or who are affected by bone metastasis, preventing a comfortable position. Tibetan Singing Bowls help patients to reach a state of mindfulness. A visual tool for distress appears more appropriate than validated questionnaires. Useful tools to measure objective parameters are skin conductance, HRV, and anterior frontal derivations of EEG, in which significant changes appear in alpha-beta waves and coherence. Of course, these suggestions need to be confirmed in larger clinical trials for various aspects. I thank you for your attention.